So here we go. We're going to continue with this development, and it's been a little while since I looked at this, so I'm going to practice not practice, but see where we left off. So let me see. I log in as Alice, then I log out, and if I try something else, I can still log in. All right, and also what's going on with the JavaScript console is yeah, it's the favicon file. It's not a big deal. We can omit that. So here it is. This is login.php is what I'm looking at right here. So right now we have this stubbed out. And now here the incoming user, let's take a look at the data that's coming in. And what we can do is reflect it back to the client just to see that that's coming. So we extract the username and password from the request message. We do it like this. See, now the request message, if you look at ajax.js here, you'll see that the request message is a post. So that means that, hold on one second. Because the HTTP request message is coming in as using the post method, that we can extract from this super global called $_post, upper and uppercase letters. So there'll be a username, that's one of them, and the other one is the password. So we can take these out. So the username is this, and the password is similar. And let's put that in there. You know, there's probably an easier way to do this in debugging, but how do we know that we got these things? Well, let's do it like this. Let's assume that the password is, we'll do some error checking. Let's put in a result of a failure. All right, we'll say, and then in the message, or when we set a failure, we're going to pass in a message here. But a message will be, you know what, I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to do this as a response equals array, and then $response bracket result equals failure. And oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I'm changing my mind again here. I just thought of a reason that I don't want to do it like that. All right, there we go. So the result is failure, and the message will be, just see if we get the username out. And let's just see if we can see that. We'll print the result and then exit. All right, that's an example of a failure. I just want to see if we're pulling out this username correctly. So we're just going to echo it back to the client. At the same time we do that, we're also testing the, that's going to make that an error. We're also testing the client code to see that error messages will process correctly. So we don't need to refresh because we just modified the server side, so we don't need to refresh the client. So for the password, I'll do, QWERTY. So that should be echoed back to us. I don't remember if it's an alert box or inside the console. I'm not sure which one it is, and the password doesn't matter. Error null, so it's not working. Look at that. That is not good. So, well, it's good that we tested it. Let's see. So the result is set to error, and the message is set to username, and username is coming up null, like this. Watch this. If what is it? Is null? $sign username. So if it is null, we're going to say in our message that it is not working. So let's see. I'm not sure if that function is defined. We'll see if that's defined or not. Let's spend a little time on this error checking. We didn't need to do that, by the way. So let's see if we can get all A's back there, okay? Let's see. Error, it's not working. So this is coming out null. So why is that? So PHP, maybe this is not correct. As we have this login here, let's take a look at this. $sign post. Extract a submitted username. Oh, son of a gun. It's coming in as a JSON message. Ay, ay, ay. So we got to pull this out as a JSON message. So let's see, where is that? So it's, where did we do that? Was it in one of these files? Let me see here. Was it in track 2? And what I'm going to do there is, I didn't do it here. So how do we get data coming in? And you know what? This is my old React code. And I'll put it in there. I'll get it from here, then I'll add it to that page. So it looks like this. This is what we need to do. That's it right there. I'll make sure that I add that to this the instructions here. So I'll put it in instructions. So you can use the following code to extract the incoming JSON object to extract the JSON object from the incoming HTTP message. There it is right there. So everybody can grab that. They don't have to copy that. So there it is right there. All right. And I don't think I have that in any of the other, that took me a while to find that, by the way, so I just thought I'd save you some time there. There it is. So this is the, this will be the request. This is the request message. So I'll say it, I'll do it like that. We call it the request. And then we have, of course, the response, which is the opposite. And I should have put that in like that. Maybe I'll just fix that real quick. Sorry about this extra time into the video. let's just put that right in like that. And that's a nice piece of code that you can use, save you some time. That took me a while to figure that out. All right, so basically this is, I still need to read this, but looks like it's, file get contents. It's grabbing the contents of the body of the HTTP message and pulling it out as a string and passing it to this JSON decode function. And I'm not sure what the true does there. I should look that up. I should look this up. What is that second argument for? What is that second argument for? Assoc equals false. Oh, converted to an associative array or not? Is that what that means? When true, returns objects. Returned objects will be converted into associative arrays. Oh. When it's false, what does it return the object as? I don't know. Maybe a regular object. Because the default is false. All right. So if it's false, it's probably okay. I'll leave it as true for now, and then see, it's not a post message. We're not pulling it out of this post message. That's because that is that post variable is set when the data is coming in, when it's, what do they call it, URL encoded, something like that. It's encoded when the form is being submitted and the data is coming in a certain format, and that's not going to work for us. So what we've got to do is grab the body as a string, pass it to this JSON decode method, and get our object out that way. Because this is going to be an associative array. I guess that's different than, if we let the default be false, we're going to get something else. We'll test that. So the username is going to be $request. It's an associative array. Username. All right. Now that should work. Let's test that. And this one is password. See, now this username will no longer be false, so it will not say it's not working. Instead, it'll come down here, return an error, and then mirror back to us the username that we passed to the server. Let's see if that works. Once again, we don't have to refresh this. I'll just pass it in again. There it is. You see it? Now it's got it. We got it working. All right. So this is let's test that the login fails. So we don't return an error failure. We return the result is failure, and there's no message. And this message will be, say, invalid request. If the username is null, or the password is null, then if either of those are null, it's an invalid request. Let's get out of there. And we can test that. And there's a simple way to test that. If we just activate access to script directly, see that? Result, error, invalid request. So there's nothing in the body. So this whole thing here returns you know, an empty string or a null, and so apparently this is not a problem if request happens to be null. I don't know if it is or not, but this will certainly come up like that. So that's looking good. So we're getting there. Now let's hit the database. And I'm going to grab some old code. So go back to track 1. And I'm going to grab this code here. And let's do that. Drop that right in there. So we've got a username and a password, and we want to see if those are good. So the database is called React. And the database user and database password. You know what I can do there is, yeah, I'll just type them in there. The user is going to be CSUSB, that's for me. And my password is, I don't have a password. That's null. And then we want exceptions to be thrown when there are PDO errors. So we have that line for that purpose. And then we're going to do a select. So we want to select password from users. So we need a table called users where, I'm going to make this uppercase, select password from users where username equals colon username. All right. And then we have to bind that. Let's see, how did we do that? We needed to do $statement dot bind. So to make sure I got that syntax right. Now we do prepare. We don't do any binding, do we? Do we do binding in another? I think we do it up here inside blog, but I don't show that. Maybe I need to add that. Well, I think that's something you can figure out from the documentation. So this is bind. We're going to bind the colon username to $username. Then we execute the prepared statement, and then we check to see, you know, if the statement has any rows in it. So how do we do that? That's in this login. Where it is? It's right there in login. Oh, login will have the bind operation. There it is. Bind username. So we got that already. And then we want to check to see, you know, the row count. There it is, right there. If there's, you know, if row count is 0, statement row count. I don't need to copy that. So if the statement dot row count, if that equals 0, then that means that it's a bad username, right? So we want to. That's why I saved this code right there. See that? For that purpose, right there. So it's an invalid password. Oh, we didn't. Sorry, it's an invalid user. We don't tell them that. We didn't find the username in the database. So we don't want to tell the attacker anything about our data. So we just say, you know, that was a failure. So then we encode the response and exit. So this is a very important exit here. We don't want to, you know, send any more data. That's a common mistake, by the way, to forget to do this exit. So otherwise, we're going to check to see if the Oh, we got to pull the password out. Let's do that. We fetch. So there's like an internal row pointer inside the prepared statements internal result set, and when we call fetch, we advance the pointer to the first row, and then we extract it. So once we get the row, we're going to look up the password, and this is the real password, and this is or I'll say the true password, the actual password, and if the actual I'll do it like this. If the entered password is not equal to the actual password, then the user has supplied the wrong password, and we'll do the same response here. We're going to say the login is a failure. If we pass both of these points, then we're good. That means the password matched. All is good, and we return a success here. Now, this is the PDO exception, which we're going to test now because we didn't create the table yet. I don't think we did anyway. So do we create the database for React? Oh, we did. We did. And oops, describe users, show tables. Oh, comments. How do we get that in there? Oh, that's the old database. I'm changing the assignment. So I'm going to drop table comments. Now when I do show tables, I get no tables. There we go. So it won't find this table. It finds a database because we're in there. So it finds this database, but when we select password from users, users doesn't exist. So that will throw a PDO exception. And then oh, look, good thing I'm reading through this. This is not the right response. We need to send an error response. It says, I'll just copy from here. And so what we want to do is send an error message. And this is, oh, what the heck was that? Wait a minute. $E get message. Okay. $E get message. So $E is the exception object that we got, and that's going to be passed to the client through that message field of the response object when result is set to error. Once again, this exit is very important, otherwise we're going to end up doing this. Oh, also we want to log the user in. The most importantly, we got to set the session object. We need to put the username in the session here. That's an indication that the user is logged in. And we'll need to start the session as well. Let's make sure that we do that. We'll do that at the very top. So it's start session. There it is. I don't need that comment. This logs the user in. So we're going to test this message. This will be something like table table not known. So we should be able to see that. Once again, we didn't modify the client. So, Alice 1234, table not known. Oh, there's the parse exception. This is different. Call to undefined function, start session. All right. See, what we're getting here is a PHP parse error. So we need to get that. His start session is not correct. Let's find out how to do that. It should be in here. Oh, session start. Okay. Session start. We don't really need to do that until here anyway. But I like to keep it at the top of the script because it's rare that you wouldn't do it, right away. All right. So this should show the table, the user's table is missing. Still a parse exception. Call to undefined function bind. All right. Oh, yeah. It's called bind param. Now I remember. It's bind param. All right. Let's see if we can get it this time. Parse exception. Call to undefined function bind param is undefined. All right. So what the heck? It must be in this login script here, bind param. Oh, it's an arrow there. It's not a dot. Yeah, see, I'm not a PHP programmer, so I make these little mistakes all the time. This is not a dot. Look, it's right there. There's the arrow right there. So that's how we invoke a function. We use this hyphen greater than sequence. All right, so user table, users is not defined. Let's see if we can get that. There it is, SQL state, base table or view not found. React.users, React is the name of the database. .users, users is the table within the React database. That does not exist. That's what we wanted. And now we can move forward and create that table. So I'm going to show you how to create the table from a script. Have we done that already? I don't see that. We did it there. And yeah, let's just create that here. So I'm going to create a new file. It's going to be called create.db.sql. And in here, we'll have our SQL. So it's going to be create table users. And that is a single statement. And we're going to have a username, which is varchar 255 primary key. Make it a primary key, so it has to be unique. That you can't insert more than the same username. You can't insert the same username the second time. You can't insert a username more than once. How's that? That's better. Username varchar 255. And what else? Then we need the password. By the way, normally you would encrypt the password, but we're not doing that. But that's easy to find out. So you can do research on that. And to use a hash, like a SHA-2 hash, something like that. And you would do that in code. You wouldn't do it here. It would still be a varchar. No, it might not be a varchar. Maybe it is. I just have to look at that. And then we have, what else? Then we have the count, right? This is like the click count. What did we call it? We called it a click count. Record click. We called it click count. We'll use the same code. Why not? Click count, and that's going to be an integer. And then we're going to insert into users values Alice 1, 2, 3, 4. Click count is 0. And let's put in a couple of users here. And this will be Bob and Claire. There we go. All right, let's see if that'll run. So here we use, it's -QL, -u, the username. That's my username. Your username will be different. Then -uppercase D, React, that's the name of the database. And then we use this redirection operator. So we assign this create DB file as the standard input stream when we run this command. Let's see, it works. Very nice. Okay, so just to check that, we're going to show the tables. Whoops. Use React. Show tables. Here's the users. Select star from users. Select star from users. I thought if I used 4 characters it would work. And there's our table. It looks good. And we could describe users as well. And username is PRI, it's primary key. And what is that no for? Oh, is it nullable? A primary key cannot be set to null. The others can be null. But actually this click count shouldn't be null, should not be allowed to be null. But yeah, we could fix that. Let's fix it, I guess. So I think this click count would be, I think we say something like not null. But to run this again, we'd have to first drop table users. Run that again. It worked. Oops, I didn't select that. And then describe users. Now it's no. Cannot be set to null. So anyway, you can fix this up. You can assign a default value of 0. That's another thing we could do. Not null. It's a default 0. And that means we can omit this third argument. Now I'm not going to do this, because maybe I need to list the fields now. So I'm just going to leave that alone. All right. That's enough. You can look more into that if you're interested. So we've got our database. It's our old script there. So we should succeed. Then this line here should succeed. And we'll pull out the username and see if, you know, we can log in. All right. So first I want to do the bad username. So it's, QWERTY. That's a bad username. Parse exception. Call to undefined function, row count. What the heck? Thought we had that right. I typed that in from memory, didn't I? Statement, row count. Oh, once again, it's not a dot. You got to use the syntax. That was my mistake. All right, try it again. QWERTY, this should be a failure. Bad username or password. Good, that's what we want. Now we do Alice and, A. That's a bad username or password, same thing. Bad username or password. Now we're going to try 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the good password. And we're in. Look at that. Now logout is not really doing anything, right? So we got to do logout. And I think we have a logout script there. Let's just grab that. I'm going to copy from the login, the logout script from the login project. Copy from the login project, the logout script. Oops, sorry. Put it into the React folder. We're not even in there. Oh, look, so I put that create database script up a level there. I'll put it down in there. So that's just hanging around. I mean, that's not where you want to normally put it because I think you can actually get that. Whoops, sorry. This would be create db.sql. Let's see if we can grab that. See that? Like, we just downloaded that thing. And look at that. See? So you got to be careful. Just wanted to show you that you need to be careful about where you put stuff. So, this is inside the folder that is accessible. The user can also directly access that, but it's not a big deal. All these other items can be accessed. These can't, of course. These are scripts. Those cannot be. They can be run, but they can't be. They can't be viewed. Their contents can't be viewed. Unlike this, the web server just lets us retrieve that. So you wouldn't normally keep that in this folder, but for this exercise, we'll leave it there. All right. So we got the logout script. I'm going to pull that up. And let's close that. Close the login. Logout. Oh, this is the old logout business. I thought I fixed that. Here's a thorough way to log out right there. We're going to use that better way. Sorry, I copied a file from an older session of this, and let's take a look there. So we've got, it's looking good. Let's get logout to work. Bad username or password. Alice 1, 2, 3, 4. Log in. We log out. I'm assuming that worked. We'll test it in the next video.